on the screen now for Nishi.
Alrighty.
And this is something new. We get mobilization. Are you happy about presence of another faction? We haven't seen blue faction.
We haven't seen the blue faction yet, so I am actually quite happy. Yeah, Reavers is what Nishi believes in here. Blue coin heavy deck, it's kind of an all-in strategy as it goes for one thing and one thing only, and that is having a row full of Reavers, giving you potentially 10 points of passive damage every turn. That would be the ideal scenario. So that means the weaknesses of this deck is if your opponent manages to deal with all the engine threats that you will put on the board. And of course, with Garrison and Truffle, you can protect them. Mobilization Leader can put 2 threats on the board instantly, usually hitting the Reaver Scout and then creating the Reaver Hunters. And pretty straightforward plan. Idaran is there to help as well create even more and more of these little Reavers.
There is a Neverland, which is a cute play against something like guerrilla tactics occasionally, when they move your Reaver Hunters and you can just move them back. They also can move something from your opponent. And Wagon is the latest addition after the Bandit patch. We got Wagon that can hide a Reaver Hunter in it and transfer it, smuggle it into another round, which is cute, resilient bronze to have. Other than that, yeah, as you mentioned, all-in strategy doesn't have Sintra Royal Guard or anything. Relies only on Reaver Hunters here. Moving further, it's a Blood Money list. We discussed it. Both players banned it in the previous match, and we've seen that in top 64 that was the prevalent deck, I think, that most people brought, relying on Golden Necker Bounty. This list doesn't have Unicorn and Kyranex in it, relies on Roach, so no Niggers as well, but we see that Roland is there, so the brother duo, instead of an animal duo, is present in the list. We have Blyheim's poisoning everything around and profiteering from that. So...
Yep, that is right. Fairly straightforward, as well as the Onslaught list. There is nothing new really to add here. I think to the Onslaught list, other than per usual, value game, a little bit of removal, a nice bit of points with a Golden Necker combination, Unicorn Kyranex, of course, helping you to thin, and then ideally Compass finishes off by creating cheating the provision system a little bit with creating something that you cannot actually put into your deck. So I think we can actually just move on and talk about the new coming here, which is Shupe Enslave. And I am actually very, very excited to see a Shupe deck in a competitive setting here. Shupe. And the reason for, I think, why this deck will work very, very nicely is that Jean Calvite makes this deck very consistent. Ideally, you don't play very much of those bronze tactics that you have in there. Enslave, of course, synchronizing very nicely there, allowing you to have the Yoink leader at your disposal. Calvite, make sure that you find your Shupe and that you find your Redea. There is a slight chance that you actually miss Calvite here, but it's quite small.
It is Enslave 5, right? So...
Yes.
So not enough tactics to guarantee you the Calvite, and yeah, it has beyond the Shupe and Redea that not really regulars in lineups, competitive lineups, but ever since Rune Mage and ever since like the buff to Shupe options, they have been making appearances. There is an Erland Northern Realms deck that is making rounds for months now, but yeah, this is something fresher, so to say. We've potentially seen it before, but here we go again. Shupe, Redea, Nilfgaard. Has False City, has Sangreal. What's not to like? Another cute combo that you can go for, of buffing your Ciri, and it switches sides and purifies, losing that infusion of damage and self by 12. Other than that, what is there for Slave Driver? Nausicaa Sergeant. You have like a couple of soldiers that can provide you carry in round 1 and fill the gaps, synergizing with like battle preps, giving a target ointment, potentially healing for extra points if it's a soldier. But yeah, an interesting inclusion to Shupradea is full City Sangreal and Milton.
Yes,
Three of
very
those
cute.
cards are coming from Toussaint mostly, but yeah, here we have them in Enslave 5 joining the Shupe.
Absolutely. Yeah, got to make sure some of those tactics are in graveyard for the Ceely when she lands on your opponent's side of the board. But other than that, very flexible deck, definitely. It's going to be fun to see this in action and how well it pays off here as we dive into the games. Yeah, maybe we should take a look at Joe's decks again for a refresher and maybe talk about how they...
Yeah, I'm looking at Onslaught list. The only like change that I don't think you mentioned is verification is an inclusion. Yeah, and like Little Hafru makes an appearance instead of another full provision bronze. So yeah, we can go to Joe's list. In terms of points, we see Onslaught and Blood Money for Nishi for the red coin, and Slave Mobilization. Well, I guess they can go and flex a bit, but lineup is less blue coin oriented if I'm like looking at it as a whole. And here are the Joe's list once again, and we are like 6 minutes till the game is starting. So
maybe one thing worth mentioning there with the verification, I played Gwent and I tried out some of the tournament decks to prepare, and I was playing Joe's imprisonment list on ladder, and guess what happened? Someone verificationed my scenario, and that was not nice, and something that potentially could even be a line that we would see here with the verification inclusion for Skellige, but that would be a very niche situation, but hey, could happen. And honestly, the imprisonment deck with the cultist sort of falls apart if that does happen. Or it's not impossible to win, but it will be hard to make a comeback after something like that. So
you don't
could be funny to see.
You don't expect the Golden Egg deck to have an answer to a scenario, and then verification comes on ladder, and you are acting like, I could have used my leader to potentially trigger this scenario, but I didn't expect that. So yeah, you don't really have too many artifact removals nowadays in Gwent. Heatwave, Shupe, and verification being the main ones. So yeah, there is an interesting choice of the Shupe inclusion. Gives an option to deal with these scenarios in like 2 out of 4 decks for Nishi. So gonna be interesting how the games work out. But yeah, especially with imprisonment cultists, you can always just play around the artifact removal by triggering it immediately.
Exactly. And other than that, from Joe, we will be seeing, again, as mentioned, we'll be seeing the cultists for rerun, as well as guerrilla tactics, Shiru, as well as the backup plan, new cards added. We saw how well Simlas did perform for this list, so seems like a very good inclusion for this Harmony list, refining it further, and looks like it could be a staple. Simlas is back at it again, and he's here to stay, and does not revolve around waylays anymore either, so that is new for him. It's been a while, so good to see. Good to see for sure.
Yeah, he kind of was off duty with the orbs and all that in Spelatel, so he was like feeling waylays again, waylay duty again, but now he has a backup plan, so something to entertain the public with. Do we have the ban?
Yes, the bans are no Syndicate. So very similar to what we saw, people are not happy with the flexibility of Syndicate with the removal of poison, a lot to deal with. So Syndicate is off the menu, no blood money to be had here. And instead, both players will be playing the other 3 decks available. And in terms of coins, Joe here will be going on blue coin this time around, I believe.
Okay, so
I'll just
blue.
double check that. Yup. Joe starts on blue coin, and that means, I mean, that is good for this lineup, I think, as both imprisonment and guerrilla tactics definitely lean toward the blue coin. So in the matchup versus Lario had red coin, which maybe proved a little bit difficult to get something through, having to take a blue coin deck on red. Not going to be an issue this time around for Joe.
And for Nishi, red coin helps him with blood money, with onslaught choice, and I guess you can flex with the Shupe if necessary. You'd prefer blue red coin in many games in Gwent, but for this lineup, especially when your opponent has two decks that can be freely played on blue coin, and might be unhappy with not getting go first option himself. So an interesting, and we should be getting into the game in a minute or two. So yeah, bans were covered. No Syndicate. Everybody just knows that list just slays the competition, so better to take chances on other decks.
Definitely seems to be the consensus here of our top 4 that all decided to ban the Syndicate.
And yeah, for those of you who just joined, this is the lower bracket final. We have Lario already qualifying to the mid-season tournament, and for between Joe and Nishi, this is the second ticket of the day, the last ticket of the day, although there will be still 2 qualifiers next season. So we are still searching for candidates, so to say. A lot of great players are already in. Once again, a notion that a lot of people who qualify have at least occasionally streamed. So if you are considering making an appearance in the mid-season tournament, or maybe in the Masters in the end, consider starting your streaming career. That helps. We had Mystical, we had Paya making it, and other players as well. That's maybe why Trusky started streaming, although he didn't succeed. But it was nice to see another Gwent pro turn into Twitch and finding some time
Absolutely. And I believe the game has started.
Yes. Okay, there we go. So we are switching.
Mulligans are happening here. And yep, here we have Joe blue coin, Nishi red coin, and Joe taking the cultists. We know the game plan by now, and that is what Joe is going to be doing, creating these infusions, playing the scenario, and then getting the bounty off of it. And of course the stratagem here helps, which is why the blue coin becomes more desirable. Nishi, on the other hand, found both Unicorn and Kyrenex. Really nice for Skellige to make sure you have in your opening hand, as well as some of these ships to ideally create as much armor as possible. But off to jail goes this ship, because Nilfgaard takes advantage of the leader lock, and we are very fast here.
Yeah, there is another ship coming. You don't really want to lock it immediately, maybe, but since Golden Necker doesn't have the... But yeah, verification we see already in hand, so you're not risking it in the open deck list. So you know that there is no heat wave, but there is a potential offensive verification, and who wants an entire cult being like mangled by a bear? So, and look at the spool from Wilgefortz, thinning out the Axel.
Yep. Axel, of course, not bad to see it in the graveyard. It could be an option for Fukusia later when she wants to resurrect something. But hey, would be nice to get that 11 points of proactive deploy value, as well as catering to Commander's Horn. Axel is great as a setup for that. So that does not happen for Nishi here in this round, at least. Perhaps later.
Okay, we see Arcane Tome being sent to the opponent's side of the board by Joe. Spreads the card in his hand here. Okay, this is what, Maxi, right?
Yep.
So Maxi is deciding the order. Golden Necker is somewhere there, especially after the road jumps out. It his potential to find. You have your specials at the bottom, which is not really nice. You'd need both of them to deal with the tall cultists, so maybe there was a shuffle, although risking the golden necker loss is also a big no-no.
Very good point. Let's see here. In order to trigger this scenario in round 1, Joe does need 2 golden cultists, and I'm not very sure that is something Joe has access to right now.
Did he? Whereas Afan is in the hand, right? So that's not ideal way to proc your scenario. Plus, okay, so he has the prophet in his hand now and sends the Afan to the bottom of his deck. Yeah.
Are we gonna see the verification?
Nah, leader charge. Yeah, no risks taken, please.
Okay, no risks taken. There it is. That is fair enough. No offensive verification. There's a reason for why these players have qualified and are playing at a higher level than when I'm playing on ladder. So lesson learned. We'll remember to do the leader charge on the Afan then. But yeah, nicely done here, because that first chapter, of course, is so very valuable to all of the cultists and all of the infusions that Joe worked so hard on putting into the deck with these deacons. So no worries here. Verification is not really an option anymore for Nishi.
Okay, so goes for the second chapter as well. Everything in hand is infused now. Most things are infused into like, not most, but a lot of things are infused in the deck as well, since the deacons weren't killed off. So the order was clicked. And yeah, cultist take now round 1. Let's see.
And has round control. This time around, Joe can just say, hey, I'm fine in a long round. I have everything I need. I have all my tags. And a long round is just where you rack up enough points that Skellige can't really deal with. There is some form of lock here with the Doragary, a little bit of damage as well. So that is something Nishi has to try as much as possible.
It's insta-pass.
These cultists, but yeah, there's the insta-pass, because of course a long round is where the cultists are generally very, very, very happy.
Yeah. And yeah, the mulligans were taken, some of the bricks removed, but here we see again the brigade just rushing into the battle. Wait a little bit, you need it as a support later. We've seen that Nisha actually shuffled his deck.
Yep, that hurts. No golden necker here, taking the last mulligan, not finding it. Heron could do in hand as well. Yeah, shuffle the maxi, and it did not end up paying off. He found the specials, but now the golden necker instead is at the bottom.
Well, yeah, he still gets another chance from the unicorn combo, so let's see how that goes for him.
Yeah. Could be there is a lucky pull, and a lot of cultists now on Joe's side of the board that are getting removed very swiftly. They will get very, very tall. They might not look threatening now, but they will be in a few turns. And here comes the unicorn plus Chironex to pull another card that is not golden necker, and so it is, unfortunately for Nishi, missed here. The compass can still dig it out there from the deck, but you will not be able to cheat the provision system by creating something with the compass.
Okay, so everything gets locked in his hand, probably drops the ship, although yeah, I guess every other card is more valuable than the ship that pinks once per turn. Not much bloodthirst will be created, most likely anyway. He either kills the cultists, or they just go into the green power immediately. Also, his ship just working against him, created from Illusionist. Also, does not have a leader ping to deal with it.
Yep.
So, need to waste some other form of damage if he wants to answer that. He's still playing a few units, although 2 out of 3 units in his hand with armor, so they don't really care. There is the
Alright.
golden egger.
Yep.
Is there still... Wait.
Okay, interesting.
Okay,
Going for
I
the
get...
ship instead. Maybe there was nothing for it to pull
Yeah.
except for a unit. Not sure if all the specials and artifacts were found here.
So here we have... Also, do I have... Yeah, I have the music on. Okay, so decides to ignore golden egger. Yeah, as you said, maybe we don't see the last 2 cards. Maybe nothing worthy was there, and this ship actually helps to pink the red ship off the board. Yeah, we see the battleships going one against another, and the red one sinking earlier than the white one.
That is the sacrifice these Nilfgaardian cultists are willing to make because they seem to be thriving despite the ship not doing so well there. A lot to deal with here for Nishi, and there is, of course, Curse of Corruption available. Dorigari for a lock. Dorigari, however, coming down a little bit late here. Rage of the Sea, potentially not having enough armor. Can't really see here from the hand state what kind of armor it actually has. A little bit of removal, but is it enough to keep all of these cultists in check? Because every time a new cultist jumps on the board, as you can see, this Prophet and this Artorias are growing quite significantly.
Yeah, but this Curse of Corruption is looking very tasty, and there is only like 2 infused cultists at the moment. Let's see. There is, of course, the Initiate on the board that needs to be locked, otherwise the cultist transfer gonna be happening from one side of the board to another. There are bronzes at 1 and 2 power that can be easily killed off.
Yeah, that Prophet is about to get lit on fire, unfortunately, there with the Curse of Corruption, but nice value for the Commander's Horn there for Initian coming down exactly now. Setting up some gold cards in between to maximize the value the bronzes get from the boost. Decent point gap, but again, that 25-point profit is not going to stick around for the whole time. Can Mata carry together with the teleportation and
nice option to unlock something with teleportation. That terror is probably no, not that big. I kind of expected it to be in a range of 10, but yeah, answers the Initiate. So Mata is not triggering anything, but provides... no, wait. Infusion is just not reflected on the board. It was infused by the Necromancid Deacon. So yeah, the points still grow, and you get another cultist.
So there would have been a vial from the Golden Necker as an artifact to pull there as well.
So even if those 2 units are the spine ones not being played on your side of the board, it matters not to the cult. It still grows the Prophet, and we see that the Prophet is the target for that Quartermaster.
Big points removed here, and the point gap is fairly close. Of course, this Infiltrator does take the gap here, and the cultists do take the win for Joe here. Successfully 1 game up currently.
It's a very streamlined gameplay with the cultists, but you still have the decisions about the infusions on opponent side of the board. You still are dependent on your initiates leaving or not leaving in terms of like making some extra points. Nice to see them present. Some people don't like them too much because of the dependability, but at least I like that this scenario is something that you can trigger immediately, and it's not answer or die deck. You still can be like controlled, and all your cult is locked and removed. But yeah, sometimes when everything goes your way, the gaps are bigger than the one that we've just seen. Okay, so next game we have the first game done with. Still playing to 3 wins, so best of 5. Still
Exactly.
necessary to get 2 into for Joe or 3 days through for Nisha. So at
Yep, anything
least
can
2
happen.
games more.
Exactly, and the coins will be switched here. So Joe this time responding with red coin, and Nishi on the other hand brings blue coin. So Reavers is what we are going to be seeing from Nishi, and Onslaught as a response here from Joe. Now Onslaught does have some tools to deal with some of these Reavers. Nice veil thinning here coming out for both players. And yeah, a couple of tools for Skellige at their disposal, but really have to choose which particular engines to remove and in which round and when, because there are so many threats that you cannot answer them all, and you have to be very particular with what you are going to answer and when.
Yeah, and there is even a wagon. Like, what do you do about the wagon? Like, do you answer it, or is it something that is not a priority? But then you have to deal with the river in the next round. So
yeah. All right, scout coming down here. Stratagem also very usable to protect something with an additional shield. There are the ships, of course, that will hang down on these NR cards slowly but surely. All right, it seems like Joe has decided that it is very important to not let the Reavers do what they want here in round 1, and decides to use a leader charge as well as Bjorn just to take care of that scout.
Maybe he just, as Chad points out, didn't like the placement of the scout, front row, taking space from the hunter. So yeah, decided to clean that so that more river hunters can be created.
Very considerate. Yeah, interesting card here as well with
There we go again.
the actual scout card that is being played here by Nishi.
So that's a second scout, and this one gets locked. So yeah, not really easy to get started against this pirates list, but if you can overwhelm them, then yeah, you get your reverse value. At the moment, though, there is still more damage. Okay, we see that the buff is coming on a single river hunter, which is not happening that often.
No, absolutely not. Just wanting it to stay there on the board is very vital that this one in particular does stay. But yeah, I mean, if you force Skellige to spend a lot of the removals and you still somehow manage to set up Reaver Hunters and win the round, then you're in a very, very good spot. But these scouts not being able to do what they're supposed to be doing is not ideal here for Nishi. And also now you have a block there on the melee row with the scout going there 2 times instead of the ranged row. But there is the neutral card scout that is also in this deck that could be used to move it back.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a big problem, especially if you expect a lot of things to die on the front row. And his hand consisting of like a wagon and Nivellen and Vimviandre, so yeah, didn't really consider that. We see that the red ship can Nivellen showing its flexibility not only as a countermeasure to guerrilla tactics, moving your river hunters, but also like showing that it can be played offensively. And there are things in Gwent that are roll locked and can be moved from your opponent, even without like Kiltulis being in the meta.
Okay. Tisha coming down there as well to remove that ship that came after on the front row very fast. And of course, Nicker's here to help out with the tempo. Yeah, it seems like Nishi has to work more to get these Reavers to go off, but 3 Reavers currently on the front row. Peller also deciding that the front row is where he wants to stay. And this also opens the casting
Yeah.
contest there on the Reaver Scout on the front.
Okay, so yeah, casting probably what we are seeing. Yeah, going for another River Hunter. Nice, nice, nice. What does it look for like for Joe? Does he have enough playable cards? Well, Axel is something you don't mind playing, and if there is a target, although at the moment there is not a great target, okay. For Tessa Mutna, you can also play that. I'm not sure we are seeing a great wagon value here. That's a bit slow tempo, so perhaps Dwim and Surrender are getting played before that.
Yeah, the wagon is very fun. If you would have like a locked 1-power Reaver, that could be a really nice target for the wagon, but for now it has to stay and do its thing. Of course, a Cairo next is really a card that Joe does not want to play here, but the Surrender kind of seals the deal here for Nishi, as the point gap now is quite big, and the passive points from the Reavers are just too much for one Tesha Mutna sword, so the pass is being taken here by Joe. It's quite intimidating for Reavers to have first say and spending that much of the removal and not being able to take the round. But we'll see. Perhaps there are still ways for Skellige to deal with this and survive the next round, but definitely an opportunity now for Nishi to utilize this first say and just start playing more of these engines. Leader, of course, available here. Really nice way of getting 2 threats on the board fast, which is very, very difficult for Skellige to deal with. And here we see melee row, Reaver Hunters coming down, leader being used immediately.
Do we see, yeah, we see suboptimal but necessary unicorn most likely combined with the leader. It clears one of them. So you lose a bit of boost from your unicorn, but yeah, you just want to deal with the incoming onslaught of River Hunters, and we see 3 copies armored up, so not really much you can do. You can kill one of them.
Yeah. Still doing something, but this commander's horn is looking and not a nice row to be boosting there. Reaver Scout coming down now rather than, you know, opening up with that would have been an option, but yeah, this just seals the deal here. Very difficult for Skellige to recover from the situation, and this is just why you want to bring Reaver Hunters to a competitive tournament, because it's such a sort of like very, very efficient blue coin deck that does profit from the scenario of being able to go first and establishing a huge threat. And unless you're playing a very control heavy deck, very hard to
does it get even more control heavy than the Pirates Golden Necker? But yeah, they don't have that final 8. Maybe Nilfgaard with more locks is more reliable in terms of control, and yeah, since your damage goes partially into the armor, then you are not removing them fast enough. Either
I believe there was John Sally who was playing this in the tournament, was playing a precision strike waylay heavy deck, and I queued a Reavers matchup today when I was playing that, and that had a lot of removal. Okay. So maybe something like that could work out.
Yeah, I think that deck runs like offerings and waylay, so even if you're not getting waylaid, you still need to play around like 4-point removal.
Yeah. But yeah, kind of an expected win here for Reavers on blue coin, and we are at an even 1-1 situation. Of course, now again, coins will be switched, so Joe here goes off with the blue coin Harmony list, and Nishi on the other hand, classic red coin Onslaught. No surprises here in terms of the queues. And we are off.
Okay, a lot of bronzes in Harmony player stack. Hand, so Joe tries to find Saskia. Okay, find Scenario and the Tutor as the last 2 mulligans. So yeah, and Seamless was found before that, so quite a few good finds here. We see Axel and a pretty playable hand from the Pirates as well. So Here
So far, all of the Squirtle players are proving that the Saber stratagem is the way to go because they all managed to find everything they need in round 1, and that is very impressive. That is skill at its finest.
Okay, we actually see a leader charge being played onto the door. Any big reasons for that? Just to boost and try to protect your next engine. I was thinking maybe he's expecting double red ship and wants to commit Shiru somehow, but that wouldn't quite work with Shiru getting double pinged. But okay.
Placement here with the Axel, but I suppose that is looking good for the Commander's Horn, having both Knickers and Roach on the respective sides of the board. Trying to sandwich those golds and those bronzes. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so that was also the Cataclysm protection, as chat points out. Yeah, good call.
Yeah. There is indeed the pirate in the hand there, so Saskia does not get sniped. I mean, Joe got the Saskia sniped versus Larios.
Yeah.
A small blonde list, so maybe that was something fresh in Joe's memory for this one.
I decided to play around that in a different list. Yeah, good point. Okay, so we go into another leader charge committed to move that red ship. Point-wise, pretty close at the moment. They are trading like how many value versus potential setup for the horn, and also Skellige bronzes are playing for points.
Yeah.
So pirates are staying close if necessary. Just commit the commander's horn to take the round. In a waiting position, as they usually do. It's still surprising to me that this control heavy deck puts out like 50 points from like 3-4 cards occasionally. Not every time, but yeah, pretty much staying close, considering they're playing leader that plays for 6 points. At times comes surprising.
The Chameleons also getting good points here. So many Harmony engines currently on the board. Saskia 1 cooldown, bringing out another card here. So it's looking like a point gap that is very, very difficult to catch up to here. But Dorgiri still comes down and locks this, as well as the leader charges to kill the chariot, hence triggering Catalysm, hoping to snipe the little chameleon there. And all of the pings, of course, go on the Dryad, not on the chameleon, which is unfortunate here for Nishi. Taking the risk, hoping to get rid of that chameleon. So chameleon gets to go another round here, and
the Witcher jumps out, so 16 or so points. So we see COC getting committed. No leader charge to try and stay ahead. So not concerned. Nishi is not concerned about that.
Did you catch the armor there on the ship? It was just hovered over. Couldn't quite see what it was at, but I believe it was a decent amount here.
Look at that.
All right, Shiru taking care of a couple of units here. It's still going to be great in this matchup because there won't be very many engines and especially lined up ones. So taking the Shiru where you can have it.
Yeah, Shiru at 3 point with guerrilla tactic is not something you see very often taken. Occasionally, I guess against elf players it can be done, but usually it goes to like 4, 5, 6, 7 and above. But here, all right value, just a nice 9-point swing.
Yep, 8 points on the armor there on the ship. The mystery has been revealed to us. Now we know exactly how much it is. Forcing this Simlas to come out. Big play, but also kind of necessary here as the point gap is getting tighter and tighter. Both players really valuing the round control. I mean, Squirtle especially wanting it, and Onslaught, on the other hand, doing its best to try and deny it.
Yeah, okay, so this is a gap that keeps increasing. Is it possible to make it in 2 cards? Horn can be played for like 14. Ship is 5.
Yeah.
It potentially with leader charge it would have been, but yeah, there is still vitality
coming
and the
out there
Saskia
as
pulling
well.
points, so I guess that was calculated faster than I was capable to. And no risks taken by Onslaught, just going for a pass. Oh, scenario answer. Present. Although the trait on Harmony scenario versus verification is not really good, considering there is like a two big or decently sized units on opponent's board, and you get nothing in that exchange.
Golden Necker, also pretty important card here. That Nishi is looking for, and once again has not found it yet. Okay, Joe deciding, all right, I want the Golden Necker out. And going in for the scenario,
Okay.
perhaps hoping that the verification was not
it's not really a good tempo here, and not a good showing to your opponent of like, there have 6 extra points, enjoy.
And this is why Harmony wants that round control, because they can decide when that point slam is going to be coming down. And here Joe is saying that the 2-0 is potentially looking very doable. I mean, especially without this Golden Necker, it's a bit of a tight spot here for Nishi.
Yeah. So wants to trigger scenario, but it costs him Guardian here. Yeah, goes for that.
Poison would be a nice find, but does not create a poison here to finish off that boat.
So yeah, didn't have a Dryad, but doesn't find the connection. Still a nice lead, and Ceely player should be concerned here, because yeah, Nisha just plays a 6-point bronze here.
Able to get a little bit of heal value from the Heron could do, but this Dana is looking quite scary, even though this Purify is not doing very much here for Joe anymore, but the point gap sure is big now. I mean, if Nishi would survive it here, quite not much left here, I think, for Joe for round 3, but without that Golden Necker, it seems difficult.
He potentially would have made it in 2 cards if the Purify didn't land. Now 20 something points. You cannot combo unicorns from round decree, sadly.
Yeah. Maxi taking here, looking at where the Golden Necker is, and bottom 3 cards is not what you want to see when playing Onslaught and Golden Necker. But yeah, that means Joe again takes it here from Blue Coin, and the situation is now 2-1. Joe in the lead here.
Yeah, so Golden Necker deck kind of struggling, while this scenario and all the other cards have been found with like 1 single tutor, but Saskia did some thinning, which was nice as well. So all the golds, all the important cards were preserved by Joe here. So good job on that. So managing to like commit seamless, staying ahead and getting the control.
Yeah, Onslaught here now needs to go through for Joe. Meanwhile, Nishin has the option to choose between either Onslaught or Enslave. Yeah, which one are we more likely to see here on a Blue Coin from Nishin?
Probably gonna see the Enslave. He must showcase it. Take a risk and showcase it to everyone, right? Otherwise, if something goes wrong and you are playing pirates here, then that list might be hidden from the public. So hopefully, Enslave, Shupe, Radea, Volsiria. There we go.
There it is. Yes, I'm excited to see this deck in action. Like we mentioned during when we talked about the decks, it's kind of a fresh take and not very commonly seen, especially in a competitive situation. But the buffs to Shupe Rodea definitely has helped in terms of making this deck competitive. And Onslaught, on the other hand, is just going to be playing a value game here. Unicorn Kyronix nicely found, and the Golden Necker there
Golden
for Joe.
Necker. Yeah,
Yeah,
Joe is
so
pretty happy.
pretty happy. But on the other hand, Nishi is very happy to have that Cowbeat in hand, not missing out on it, because there is a small risk that could happen. Didn't happen here, means that he is also going to be drawing into what he wants, which is the golds.
Yeah, and also has the Shupradea already ready to go if necessity comes, although there is no scenario to deal with for this Shup. So let's see. Ah, there we go.
Right.
Quite the commitment on turn 1. Dropping the Unicorn Kyronex combo. Putting on some tempo. There wasn't an Iron Knight in play, right? So it's not related to that tempoing.
Not play for Aaron Knight,
yeah.
but this also means
No,
the Curse
I
of
mean,
Corruption currently is not really something that Joe can play, as the Roach is the tallest unit on the board currently. Master Puppet's going to 1. Perhaps Joe is hoping to snipe it with the ship later, but before that happens, the Boohurt comes down. Nice card to have in the graveyard for Ceely. Of course, later, and is able to switch things around here with the Master of Puppets.
Yeah, and hopes to make in the exchange once again. Is there anything that Enslave can do about that 1-point unit? Okay,
Right?
we see the ship going into play. I'm not sure what's exactly the... okay.
Interesting. Maybe trying to snipe Master
Going for
Puppets
3
that
damage.
way.
Interesting.
But before, of course, Rune Mage is out. The Shupe is more unreliable. Perhaps still got the option that Nishi was looking for here. But there is the trade with the Master of Puppets, and now the Cataclysm is coming down. So, yeah, with the shipping, that seals it. And unfortunately, losing the bounty here after somewhat of a risky Shupe.
Okay. This also is not putting him ahead, right? So just tries to win the round without committing the next big gold. But yeah, Pirates still can play. Pirates still have a bronze to drop, and then the Commander's Horn is lined up quite nicely here.
Yeah, and because of that Commander's Horn, I'm wondering if Nishi would have considered a pass here, but no, does not give up. Rather, just takes a Redea, quite committal here, but will be drawing into some gold. So as long as Nishi can secure the round here, maybe that is not too bad. But Commander's Horn putting up the point gap quite a bit makes it look a little bit scary here for Nishi.
It goes quite hard here on points, that Commander's Horn, and like well, we also have the COC available. Yeah, that was the contest has been won by another unit, so Roach is safe.
Yeah, that Redea feels like it was not worth perhaps being played there, when the pass could have been taken out 5 cards instead, giving you or allowing you to save the Redea for a potential flexible play later. Now it's all in the control of Skelligan here.
So we see that Nilfgaard also has the Unicorn and Kyronex coming, sorted by Calvit, so the golds were guaranteed. Pretty decent hand, but yeah, quite a few golds were used up in round 1. So let's see if those are enough. Because we see that
coming down here, probably looking for a lock. Does not look like it is being found here. I mean, Nausicaa Sergeant is not a bad pull here.
Yeah, if you just want to answer the ship, what was its armor count? Then 1, so you can answer that as well. And Pirates don't really like when you put in extra things into their deck.
Yep.
But
Coated
that's
weapons.
only one clock, and you still have the Vilgefortz. We see 8 armor on the Terror, so quite a few pinks were utilized in round 1 and 2, growing its damage potential.
And Axel again opening up this commander's horde very nicely
It's so
here.
funny. We have illusionists just abusing the berserk conditions of all the Skellige units, whatever game we're watching.
Definitely nice here. The illusion is also one available from our Todd there, so perhaps looking quite good Milton being found here as well. Sangreal and Ceely are cards that Nishi will still draw into, and also Leader is on hold. Not necessary to play it. I mean, pushing a Shupe deck is a little bit risky sometimes, especially after that Calvite. I mean, you are trading for good cards, but also quite difficult to keep up. And we do see the big Golden Necker play come down here to make that point gap even.
Interesting. Both players are fighting.
Yeah.
Fighting for this, I don't know. So we see another illusionist drop in. This time around, Berserk condition has not been triggered since the bondage condition is there, but you can
potentially open there.
Yeah, so Dorigari finds extra value sometimes. That one extra ping probably wasn't worth it. You take creation of a 6 instead.
Milton boosting up this crow means it is a potential target for Vilgefortz. But that is a big...
We're going all in. There is... Although with Fuku Axel, you probably can try to rely on that in round 3 and the horn. So maybe we'll see the pass, but at the moment...
enough here?
That's a good question. Like one extra card was put into the deck.
With the coated weapons might prove to be a bit of a problem for Skellige if the all-in does not happen. I mean, Joe should know here what is in the hand of Nishi, unless Nishi would have mulliganed something. So, yeah. Truffle potentially being clicked here. Yep. Commander's Horn, really nice value here. It's hard not to take it, but Vilgefortz then would obviously fall down on the crow there, the bronze crow token.
Commander's Horn and double leader charge.
Yeah, Joe should be able to...
If you want to trade for leader.
Yeah.
If you want to trade leader for leader, you can go for that. So some math being done at the moment.
Yep, I mean, getting this Vilgefortz out is quite nice because there's not much left here for Joe. I mean, leader is a nice keep for sure. There will be the Nausicaa Sergeant, which will be a good amount of points. Sangreal and False Theory, which is kind of cute as well.
Yeah, that's something that Skellige... Wait, was the location plate that can... yeah, in round 1 is it gone? Yeah, I think it was. So,
I believe so.
You cannot really deal with full city anyway.
What's coming out of the deck? It is Björn, and then the leader has to come down here, yoinking that Björn as well. And I don't know what Skellige has left on the other hand, if the magic compass isn't going off.
So yeah, one clogging was done, one thinning was done later with Vilgefortz Royal Decree. So that helps.
Yeah. Alright, the Decree pretty useful.
Do we have 2 units?
We'll see.
Maybe something breaks. Alright. I love this finishing hand though. Like full city and Sangreal, amazing.
All right.
So we have a Buchurt in the graveyard. So that Ceely is not landing as like 1-2 point unit, which would have made her susceptible to the quartermaster.
Oh yeah, Ceely can actually clog right with the coated weapons here. Yeah.
Let's see. Nah, goes for points.
Okay.
But this kind of provides the tier value then. Was clogging actually? Like,
Yeah, with the coated weapons.
Yeah, 5 points.
Yeah. Seems like
Compass would have been pretty great. Now this tier is playing for like 20.
Shinmuri pointing out here in chat that if you don't choose the blue hoot, the Ceely is instead dead. Yeah, because of the scenario there. And here comes the final Sangreal. Yep. Nishi.
So what does it mean for tier? Any fast math doers? That's 16.
Yeah.
16.
There is
14. 14
There's just
23.
right there as well.
Wait, is it a tie?
Is it a tie?
Wait, I was counting for the Nausicaa, but there was one extra buff on
calculated.
false Ceely. Okay, there we have it. So 2-2 now. Or is it?
Yep.
Yeah, 2-2. Yeah.
Nope.
There we go.
That is Joe's game. So that is 3-2. Now that was it. The series is done.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a bit lost.
Very fast games indeed. But yeah, that should be Joe's third win as he pulls off a win with Scoia'tael, with the Cultists, and now with Scoia'tael.
Did somebody win with the Pirates?
Yep.
Yeah.
Joe
now, yeah.
Got it.
My bad. So let us see if there was any more communication. No, doesn't look like it. Yeah, 3-1.
Thank you, Giordanico, confirming here in chat.
Got,
was that way, so it was Joe's win by a point, very close. And so congratulations for Joe making it to the mid-season tournament. It's not yet completely over, though, if Nishi decides to qualify the next time around, because there are still a couple of slots available, but those will be taking place for the next qualifier, so still a while to go for that, but there is still a couple of slots left open.
And everyone of you guys can contest. If you look at the cutoff at the moment, the cutoff is like 10k MMR, so anyone can be in top 64 qualifiers. Go for it, I believe. Bribery, take the reins and go. Okay,
right.
So but nice sets of games. Yeah, I think the second like lower bracket final was a bit faster in terms of tempos, that I lost control over the like game count.
So all day, so they are, I think, eager to get the results as well, and might be feeling a little bit tired. A lot of stuff going on during these very, very long days for the players. Still very, very well played, and yeah, congratulations to Joe. It was fun that we got to see a little bit of Nilfgaard Shupe here as well.
Yeah, it was showcased. But it lacked one extra point. Yeah, nice games, and well, yeah, as we said, another set of qualifiers next month. So this season is still of matter for Gwent players. So people are competing and will be competing. We still have like some big names missing from the mid-season tournament. But if we get some new players, it's also nice to have new contestants come to the arena and just claiming that spot. So
I believe Joe qualifying for the first time today. Ilario, we have seen him before in an open, qualified as well today to the mid-season tournament, but a first for Joe. And next week, yeah, we might have someone new take it.
Not next week, right?
No, next month.
Because next month, yeah, I was
next
like
qualifiers.
So yeah, we have Ilario, Joe qualifying today. We had Paya, Kams, Spelling Bee, Mystical, I think made it, Holdir, and Mayamon. Quite a few names, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I think it is 8 by now. And another set of qualifiers will bring 4 more names. So that should be the full list, but yeah, you can probably check ESC's Twitter for the results throughout the months. Also, Jordanica, thanks for the... yeah, we also forgot a lot of players. Did I make up that Mystical made it? I think he made it. And Kaneki, I remember, made it. So a lot of players... qualified. Yeah, we need to check ESC's... it's been like 4 months by now, and we get what, 4 names each time, so
Yeah.
12 players qualified, and we still have 4 complete set of 16. So
and top 64 qualifiers that are still left before we know the final roster for the very, I'm assuming it will be big and intense tournament of the mid-season. Very, very fun and exciting to see the games that will be taking place later. But yeah, until then, still a few qualifiers to go, and let's see who will make it.
Thanks for smooth running of the event, Jordanica. That was nice, and it was a pleasure casting with you once again. Thanks for projects to Vlad for inviting, and hopefully we'll see you guys once again. Anything you want to add, promote, mention, Ceely?
Nothing too much worth promoting currently, but I do stream occasionally on Twitch, which you can find on twitch.tv and then Ceely with double C. And of course my Twitter seems to be linked there below, so you can check it out as well.
Yeah, and you somehow found me, guys, so you know where to find me. If you want more content, go to YouTube. So thanks for chatting, although we haven't read everything. Thanks for additional bits of information in terms of qualified players, and Lerio's previous participation as well. That was helpful, and hope you enjoyed it. So thank you, everyone, and I guess we have to find someone to host, since some people are still streaming, although there is usually exodus after the tournament. Surely somebody is still playing the ladder. So let's see. Qualifiers, and there is Moshcraft watching us and playing simultaneously. So let's rate Moshcraft. Multitasking at its best. So let's send him here. Oh, us there. Let's not send him here. Okay, I need to retire. Yeah. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for hanging out.